like to act as if I'm one of the guys. No, I'm here, I'm present.
So the only way to get there is to go through.
Or the female colleagues, I always tell them that you do not have to tick all the boxes.
By time they understand that it is not a female or a male, it's the person and its capabilities.
The sky is the limit for women now.
My motivation usually comes from challenge. I get motivated from my team. I love to see how they're developing. I love to see how we're getting creative around the kind of work that we do.
I get my energy from the team, from people. I'm always happy to be sitting with people who bring positive energy, and I love to bring positive energy back.
It's a very simple thing, you know. You just need to get the trick of it. The trick is I work by goals and objectives. So I set a certain goal, and I work and strive towards that goal. So, for example, if I recall, when I went to university, to the AUC, I said, you know what, I'm going to finish in 3.5 years. So that was the first goal.
For someone in my position, you have to have a vision. And your team and your customers and the market have to believe in your vision. It's a must. If you don't have this vision, then you'll be just running a company without a direction. I strongly believe that great attention to details help you as an individual, help the company, help the employees to understand why they're also going to this.
Emotional intelligence is something that's very important because you deal with so many different people in processes that tend to be frustrating. So you have to know how to manage them, you have to know how to make it easier for them, you have to be smart in dealing with the pressure, and you have to be creative because it's not an entirely technical job. It's a job where you stand up as being an advisor to someone.
I would say one of the most important qualities is courage. Being willing to take some risks and being willing to step outside of the comfort zone. And I think the other one is being able to build consensus, being able to bring people together, being able to identify all of the stakeholders in a particular step.
A leader must realize that they're not a manager. So if I wanted to think of the two most important is at first it was listening and analyzing, the ability to truly listen to others and analyze what they're saying. You challenge what doesn't make sense and you accept what makes sense. Followed by that, you empower people. You motivate them and empower them to get the best out of them.
To be a good listener is a very important thing. Going into details, understanding what's happening inside the company, see the employees, see what do they want, approving the plan, approving the future, be on board. Also, to be a good negotiator and choose your battles.
In my view, two important business decisions. One related to the team internally, and it was related to the overall well-being of the team and also related to the growth of the company. So we've decided to move to a new office. Also from a business perspective, one of the most important decisions that we've taken last year was to focus on the government and be aligned with the digital transformation plans of the government.
I have this belief that, especially in our job, it's a very tiring job, it's a very hectic job. You spend most of your day with your co-workers. They have to be like family, and you don't get this feeling except when you have a certain culture and a certain environment in the workplace. I think the thing that was really, really important for me over 2019 was to build that kind of harmony within the team.
I think the really important decision is to change some of the strategic focus of the company and really increase the importance of investment, business development, diversification.
In terms of business, I've been making decisions since I walked into the bank, so it's been 3 years. But last year, one of the major decisions I made is to expand in retail. We've had an attempt before and it didn't work. And then I was determined that it would work. So I set last year 3 things that I wanted to do. One of them, and I think that was, by far the most important, is to really get the retail part right.
I think last year we operate a new line of business We decided at the end of 2019 that we're going to launch our IPO by mid-2020.
To get the buy-in from their colleagues and their bosses.
I've had so many obstacles as a woman and as a person who's kind of very young to be where I am today. Usually the first impression is, who's this kid who's coming in to bosses around. It was an intriguing factor for a lot of people. So once you speak and you know what you're talking about, it goes smooth from there.
Maybe the most significant barrier is often the woman herself. Self-doubt or fear or not realizing one's own potential and being afraid to step out of that comfort zone, which is where all the magic actually happens.
So I went out to the workforce not really thinking about this. Maybe when I look back, maybe there were some instances when there is bias, but when you really don't think about it, it doesn't irritate you. So it never irritated me, to be honest. Now, having said that, I think that now it's completely different. You have so many female figures in every single sector, in every industry, in every institution that have achieved a great deal.
A significant barrier is always the stereotype of our culture, like the woman is less intelligent, less smart. I believe that this stereotype will be diminished within the next 5 to 10 years. I can see from the new generation, a lot of women are taking the highest grades in universities. When I make interviews, I feel that most of the good calibers are coming from our females.
You're usually the odd factor, but I tend to highlight that uniqueness because it gives more actually credibility for how different you are, and I like to capitalize on that. I don't try to hide it. I don't like to act as if I'm one of the guys. No, I'm here. I'm present. I'm here because of a reason. It has a pro and a con.
Really have to work twice as harder.
Well, I think I've been put in a lot of situations where it has to happen. Someone needs to do it. It has to get done. So the only way to get there is to go through. Sometimes you don't know how you're going to do it. You have faith and you take the first step. And I think really the key thing is drumming up support.
I was lucky. All my life I've been working in institutions that they didn't look at this aspect. They were always thinking of a male or a female. Whenever I meet a client or I meet somebody who has these issues, I always overcome it by showing my capabilities, showing my work. By time they understand that it is not a female or a male, it's the person and its capabilities.
Leave my study. It was a tough decision because I was the second on the graduation class. I was not sure. Yeah, so it was for me tough at the time. And start again, So basically pressing the reset button on whatever I've studied and whatever I learned.
I was in another company for 10 years. Leaving them was a very tough decision that I had to take.
A lot of tough decisions. But I think the toughest decisions are always the ones related to change, because people are used to doing things a certain way.
But I've had to make some really tough decisions. I don't regret them, but I understand now that maybe the choice might have been slightly more rational.
My mother, yes. So my mother has determination that I really love, and she has confidence in the future. Sometimes when I think, she tells me, why are you worried? There is nothing to be worried about and you have to be confident.
My school principal, when I was very young, Mrs. Magda Musa. I'll get emotional now. She was the epitome of a woman perfection. She was very powerful. She had a demeanor of such an inspiring leader. She was a lady. Didn't try to man up her attitude. She was very feminine, but at the same time she was very strong. She was fun. She was not obnoxiously straightforward.
I would choose Sayyidah Khadija. she managed her own business at a time when that was not a societal norm, definitely, while at the same time doing it in a very principled way.
The first one was my mother, to be honest. Even though she was a housewife, she never worked, but she was very strong. And she was a leader. She married very early in life. She finished her high school education. She was married at 18, had me at the age of 20. And she was one of 10 brothers and sisters, so they were 10 siblings. So, believe it or not, she was the least educated and the most powerful. And she helped them take all their decisions, tough times in life, she'd be there. She was a great support to my father. She was truly my first role model in terms of leadership and strength and charisma, and her social ability was enormous. It was fascinating. I had a math teacher in high school. She worked with so much passion. She'd never ask for any return. All she wanted is for all her class to excel in math. And she truly made me, at least, and all my colleagues I know for sure, love the subject to the extent if I wanted to take a break from studying, I'd do some math.
I think my mother had a big role in my life. She was always a believer in me, and she always told me that everything you can do. I think that she was my backbone.
Competition from global competition, the use of technologies, the new jobs that will be coming up.
I think the biggest challenge for anyone, not just females, is notions, whether internally within them or external, that they cannot do something. You have to be an extremely self-motivated person. I don't like to live life thinking that the circumstances around me are actually what shapes what I can do and what I cannot do. And I think it's challenging because the society usually doesn't put you in a situation that's enabling. It usually puts you in a situation that's disabling. That you have to have this drive from within you. You don't wait for something to happen to you. You actually make it happen.
I think that the new generation, a lot of them, the previous generation, are professional women who are already going to be busy with their own challenges and maybe not as available to help in as much of a strong way.
I think the challenge actually for both genders is we brought up our children in a way different than what we were brought up, and it's not necessarily better. So they've had things much easier, so their appreciation to many things is not there because they've had everything. And I think that they want to start where everybody ended, and that's not the right approach.
The biggest challenge, I think, is to change the behavior of this culture. If we, as moms and as mothers, raise kids with sharing, we will get responsible people, male and female, to understand that they have to share everything. Taking the responsibility and sharing at home will make the woman less stressed.
I think they need to realize that they can do anything. If you really set your mind to something and you structure it properly and you plan and you find the resources, there is nothing holding you back.
They have to be more patient because in real life it takes a lot of hard work to actually get things done, and you learn more from your failures than from your successes. It's a trial and error process, and it's a perseverance thing, and it's something that's by virtue of the life that we're living. It's much more fast-paced. Everything is like accessible on your phone. That it strips away the amount of hard work that you need to put to get something.
It's all about leadership, not management. I don't necessarily have to be the best technical person in each and everything. But if I have good sense and good judgment, definitely with the right team, you can create a success. And the most important thing I think I came out is to really learn to listen. Because if you don't listen and you think that you're there and you know it all and you're different, you understand, that kind of thing, this is when you fail.